Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a live version of the FTN Fantasy Podcast. I am Vlad Sedler, host. Jason Anthony is out of town, and to substitute, although there is no substitute, this is a great man who comes to visit me every year. It's one of my good friends. We met through the fantasy industry many years ago, many times in person, and also from or in the Bay Area, as Jason is, and you probably know him already. A poker podcast legend, connoisseur, former FSWA award winner, and retired fantasy content guy, I guess, too. He's not really doing the content, but you're playing it. Sammy Reid, what's up, Sammy?
Yo, what's happening, Vlad? Excited to be on the pod with you. The intro music to this always gets me pumped up because I listen to this pod religiously. I love listening to you and Jason, and you always have some good guests when Jason goes out of town, which is like always. Like, does anybody travel more than that guy?
He's always on the move, and it works out. We kind of knew before the season started it was going to be kind of a crazy year. And the great part is the listeners, of course, they always miss him, but we try to have people step in. I know Joe Arico and Dan Thompson covered the pod when I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But we got to do, obviously an episode with you once a year. And then usually what we have to do is cleanse a little bit. So the week after, where it's the one episode of the year where I have to just like click the explicit language button. And so people just have to know in advance. We're not purposely swearing or talking about crazy things. It's just, this is just how we roll, it's a couple buddies chatting. So I'll probably have like a really, salt of the earth type person to follow up you next week.
That's good. Who's salt of the earth? Is it like Posma? Is he really
he is the man, just like a true salt of the earth human being. So yeah, we'll have Posma. Posma probably will not listen, nothing personal, but we'll see. So, dude, how is your fantasy season going so far? I know you've got some main events. Are they all shared, or you got some solo, or what's your setup?
Yeah, I have three main events. Two of them are solo, and then one I share with our buddy Yancey. And so got those three, and then I do the CLQ. And I'd say, overall, things are going pretty good. I'm like ninth overall in the CLQ right now. So, it's been a pretty decent first half, but like, man, the injuries this year are just insane. It feels like every week you're just losing somebody mega key. And, this is probably the kind of year that you're probably doing pretty well in, because so much of this year specifically, it feels like you need to fill in those spots. Mm-hmm. You need to like really mine the waiver wire, and just everybody's getting dusted. Like the entire first round is dust. Yeah. So, you need to be the one who's making impact in the waiver wire and filling those holes constantly. And that's really what I found has been, the basis of Fab. I'm not like stashing guys for like 3 weeks from now. I'm like, dude, my guys are hurt. I need somebody right now for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I will say Connor Griffin activated today. That is very good for my bags.
Yes, that's really good. I'm very happy. We got Connor Griffin back. Hopefully gets into this NL Rookie of the Year race. It might be, I don't know. I want to say too late, but you never know. About the first round, I think what we're used to and what we've seen with the data that Ron Chandler has collected over the years about how first round you typically get about 40 or so % of that first round is going to return value, like first round value or close, like second or third round. And this year, there are just a lot of problems there. Like a lot of those first rounders are either, like you said, busted or just not quite there. They're like earning teens in the fantasy dollars, right? You've got, other than Ohtani, you've got Judge is hurt, Witt is banged up, Soto keeps getting banged up. Maybe he doesn't like Lindor. I don't know what it is. Acuna Jr., like it's like clockwork every single year. J-Ram of all people's hurt.
J-Ram has averaged like 6 missed games per season over the last like 10 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's 150 plus every year. I mean, I'll tell you, so in my three mains or my three CLQ leagues, right? It's like it was like my first round picks are like Ellie, and J-Ram,
Mm.
and I'm just like, dude, I'm so smart. Garrett Crochet is getting dusted. Paul Skeens is like kind of meh, and I'm like, these idiots, these fools. Like they should have just taken these guys who are just power speed, like everything's great, and they just like snap immediately. I'm like, actually, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, it's funny. Like in the preseason, the vibes, the know it all, it's at an all time level, and then everybody gets humbled in in the middle of the season. By this point in the season, doesn't matter what's happening. Like, I was like, oh, Gunnar Henderson is going to like really contend for the AL MVP. Like there's just no doubt. I mean, like 30-ish% strikeout rate. Like what's going on with that guy? My biggest one was being a stout Kyle Tucker defender. Like, not to say that he was going to be worth 60 million. I was like, that's a lot of money. But all the people like, he doesn't really like baseball. There are people like making fun of like his side profile. Like, I'm like, all these Dodger haters. I'm like, oh, you guys are gonna, earmuffs, plasma, suck it. You guys are gonna suck it. And guess what? Kyle Tucker, man, you guys were right. He maybe doesn't care for baseball. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you wish he was hurt so you could take him out of your lineup. I mean, he's been massive ass. And that's the thing is some of the guys, like a lot of them have gotten hurt, but some of the ones who haven't have been massive ass, right? It's like Tucker, Tatis has been decent, but like 3 home runs isn't going to cut it. Fat Vladdy, who was like on the cusp of the 1-2. I actually did take him in the first round of one of the mains. I mean, it's just like, dude, what's happening? Like why are you so bad and fat? It just doesn't make sense. So, the bottom line is if, so many teams, and that's the nice thing is it's like not just 1 or 2 first round picks. And if you were the one to like land on that roulette wheel, you're the one who's way behind. It's like everybody is dealing with this. And so, whether they're hurt or they're bad or they're both, it's just that kind of season. So it's really, how do you navigate fab? And then how did you navigate those middle rounds, right? The kind of like 7th through 12th in there. There were a lot of big impact picks in that spot. Were you the one who made impact there? Or, did you draft, I don't know, Teoscar Hernandez?
Yeah. It's funny. This season, teams are all kind of middling. There's a main event. I did 2. One's got a good roster, but just keeps is just not there. It's not going to get there, I don't think. And the other one is, just hanging around like between 3rd and 5th and 90-ish points, and it has legs. I really, really like the squad. It's a squad that got off to just like an amazing hitting start. It's my Gunnar Alonso squad.
That's a great spot to be, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm happy. I'm happy if I have 93 points and I'm in 4th and 5th place right now. Like there's half a season to go if your roster looks good. So, by
the way, dude, your beard, you kind of look like Liev Schreiber. You know that guy? He's a good actor. You got the Liev Schreiber look.
I get Zelensky a lot, honestly. So,
oh, dude, how can I not? How can I not? No, dude, yes, yeah, Duck. All right. The crazy thing is a lot of my later round picks, mid round picks, late round picks are really happening. But what's happened is, like the guys that are really smashing in the early rounds, and it kind of ties into a pretty funny tweet that you had the other day that actually went viral, like regarding Nick Kurtz. Like I only have Nick Kurtz in my Scarf League, right? Which is not going to get really any money from that. It's more, more industry league. Like I would have loved to have Nick Kurtz, but when I took Nick Kurtz, it was like, you know what? I've been writing him up as a fade, at least for value. So I had him maybe like 5 spots lower than his ADP, but when you're talking second round, there's no margin for error. A guy with that upside, that home park, like you just take him at or before his ADP, or you don't, or you're just not going to get him. And that's the only place I have him. But you said, I mean, this is funny. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe the guy who's hit 290 with a 1,000+ OPS and 36 home runs in only 117 games last year was a good fantasy pick this season. After all, like, hello.
Yeah, and so I kind of meant this as shade toward Gecko because Gecko was like the most outspoken. Like, I wouldn't take Kurtz in the 3rd round, right? But also, I'm also an idiot. So it's also shade toward me. I took Vladimir fucking Guerrero Jr. before Nick Kurtz. Like, fire me into the sun. Like, what am I doing here, right? And sometimes I think with these players, like the whole point of the tweet is like sometimes we overanalyze this stuff. The way things are now is that people are doing prep before the fantasy football playoffs are even done. And, we're dissecting every little thing. And, this guy has too big of a swing strike rate, or this guy had a bad second half and this and that. And sometimes we like miss the forest for the trees, right? Nick Kurtz hit 36 homers in 117 games. He's 22 years old. Like he had 1,000+ OPS. Like, what are we doing here? Like before we dissected and everything, the guy would have been a mid-first round pick. We would have said, he's mega young and he smashes. Of course I take. And I think, we had this with a lot of other players, right? Junior Caminero. The ballpark, this and that. And it's like, we've lost the plot here. Junior Caminero hit 45 homers with a 19% strikeout rate at 21 years old. Do you know the list of players who have hit 40 homers at 21 years old? It's Mel Ott. It's Mel Ott. It's Eddie Matthews. It's Ronald Acuna Jr. Like, in what fucking universe does Junior Caminero fail? Like, players like this do not fail. Yeah. And, he doesn't steal bases, so he's not going to be like the number one pick. But like, dude, he's pacing for another 40 home runs with a 285 average. It's like, the man's not going to fail. And we can get into this a little bit, but like to a lesser extent, players that a lot of people were fading, including me. I didn't take James Wood. James Wood smashing PCA. And it's like, sometimes we're like, dude, we're losing the plot a little bit. Like,
you just named all my fades. Like legit. It's almost to a degree embarrassing, but a lot of people are in the same boat. But I think what the issue is that in the preseason, fantasy, content providers, myself included, and just a lot of players and high stakes people, like when you like a lot of the players in the first round or the second round, you almost intentionally force fades. And where do those fades a lot of times go? Especially you've been playing for a long time. It's the younger guys. It's, I hate to be but he's only done it for 1 year. And that wasn't my reasoning against Caminero at the 1-2 turn and 15 teamers, or against Kurtz in that spot, or against Wood or PCA. It was those like little analytical holes where you think that the downside could be really bad. We saw the downside with PCA last season. It was horrendous in the second half. But when you've seen that much of an upside, like remember, once you own a skill, or once you've displayed a skill, you own it. The chances are pretty good. And if you really look at Kurtz, for example, you could spin that argument anyway, but forcing the 30% strikeout rate thing, or Wood, same thing. What it comes down to, Wood steals bases. We didn't think Nationals were going to be this good, but it's amazing. Abrams is great and all that. But Kurtz, the ballpark. I mean, shouldn't that be enough?
It really should. And, and part of the thing is, I'll take PCA, because PCA was not on my draft list, right? He just wasn't. We ended up in mine and Yancey Eaton's shared main. We did take him in the third round. We had the 13th pick. So it's like we were like hoping like Zach Neto got there, or Brent Rooker got there, and then they got taken, and I was like, we need speed. Like, fuck, okay, let's take PCA. But it wasn't like we wanted him. And in one of my other solo mains, I passed on James Wood in the 5th round. And I took Bryce Harper instead of him. Bryce Harper's been great, so can't really complain. But holy shit, bro. I mean, again, forest for the trees. Like James Wood as a 22-year-old went 31-15. Why did we not take him in the 4th and 5th rounds? Well, he had a bad second half. So this is like, and he strikes out a ton, right? But it's like, this is already being factored in a way. Like if we were sure he'd go 31-15 again, well, he's going in the 1st or 2nd round. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So when it's the 4th, that's already being baked in. PCA went like 31-35 last year. When are you going to take like 30 players outside of the first 2 rounds? And it's like, there were paths to failure, of course. We saw the downside, of course. But, this isn't just like me being like, oh, I'm so smart. Like I faded a lot of these guys too. Sometimes we need to get out of our own way, the midwit bell curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just, 30-30 player go Burr, right? Like, yeah.
And the thing is also about like, you follow the thought about, try to get through the noise in the spring, or like follow the analysts that you really trust, and the process and things like that. Everyone is human. This is life that hasn't happened yet. These are real humans that are playing baseball. We have no idea what's going to happen. Like J-Ram, who's never been hurt, is now hurt. Like the most inexplicable things happen. There are a lot of guys on waiver wires that are helping carry fantasy teams right now. A lot of it isn't very predictive, but you set yourself up well in the preseason with your drafts, and then just are staying really active during the season in fab, like getting ahead of players and things like that. You almost have to kind of, you take bits and pieces from everyone, but also beware the recycled arguments like against a player or for a player. When you read too much in a certain way, our first instinct should be to question that, I think, not to go with it, right? Like the whole Caminero ballpark thing. Like,
yeah. And that's, it's kind of human nature, right? Because everybody who's an analyst also listens to other content, right? We're not in a vacuum. We have other people that we like to listen to, and we'll hear something and be like, that's actually a really great point. That makes sense to me. And then somebody asks you about it, and you're so like, well, I heard this great point. Let me talk about it. So yes, those ideas really do get filtered, and in the age of Twitter and our discords and stuff like that, these ideas kind of do run rampant. But I think that's really human nature. And I'd like to say, the thing to do is not listen to anybody and do your own research and have your own organic ideas. The truth is, it's not the world we live in.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think about just the fantasy content, at least in baseball landscape these days, compared to what we were used to years ago when you used to write baseball stuff?
Maybe I'm wrong about this because I'm a little bit detached, but I feel like in the last maybe year or two, there's actually a kind of less bickering back and forth. I don't know if you've picked up on that.
A little bit. Well, I'm staying out of it now, so that might have some to do with it, because I used to kind of wail and drop some bombs and like get really outraged when I saw something. Now I just it's either muted or I just scroll by, because there's no time with it. I guess things change. Like when you have we have kids similar age, like you just have other things that are important than to argue on Twitter all day, because you can get in arguments all day long. Literally.
Yeah, you see, you got two kids, I got two kids. It's like you see your kids bickering back and forth and doing all this stuff, and you're like, you know what? I don't need to be acting like a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
But I do think I feel like the overall vibe, at least from like my Twitter feed, has been a bit more positive and less like bickering back and forth. Obviously, you'll see some, but also there's like a bit of concentration in terms of like where people are working, I guess. Like, I have like my FTN pod crew guys, right? It's like you and Booms and Dan Thompson, who, I mean, he's doing a bang up job. Like
he's killing it.
Yeah. I love his pods, man. He's just like got such a cool cadence, and his pods are like super quick hitting and just like, but like very actionable and important. And yeah, they've been a big help. I actually like messaged him the other day and told him so.
Nice.
He's doing great work. So, maybe as like some of us content creators, or in my case, ex-content creators, get a little bit older and wiser, maybe we see less of that. I don't know. What's your opinion? Have you kind of picked up on that, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're right. I do feel like there's a lot less of, there's always going to be some drama. You see a lot of new people in the game, and I'm all for it, right? Like I like people that, you don't have to be like, there's no barrier of entry to be a content person at least on Twitter, right? Like you can tweet every day a lot. You get a lot of views. You make, can even, get some dollars out of it, just doing on Twitter, being independent. So I'm all for it. And so, I think on occasion when I see something that really stands out, I like to, kind of, promote it, because we want fantasy baseball to be going on for a long time, right? There's always the worry that, like, we go to some of these events and everyone's kind of just, getting older. But when we go to like first pitch or main event, there's always new blood. There are always new people coming, younger. It's like fantasy baseball, I think, is just going to be something that is always around. It's going to be even more and more competitive. I think that's something that I've learned. Like I used to be just a flat out dominant player, even when I, was writing and putting all my stuff out there. And now it's gotten harder. It just absolutely has gotten harder. And I'm never going to blame like, oh, volume players or, this or that, the other. Like, I consistently come in first, second in my OCs. Now I'm like hovering in the middle. I'm like, what's happening here? I got to get going. So
yeah, you're like one of the GOAT OC players. Like, Brandon Waddell is like super good right now too. Like he's just a crusher. He's great. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a really good point from you. For me, I haven't seen as much of a difference with like the content creation, but like when we look at NFBC, right? 10 years ago, NFBC was just boomer central, right? And you had a handful of like young, sharp guys with like old souls like you, who like came in and did good and got along with everybody. But now we see a lot of the analytics nerds showing up. Yeah. And I don't mean that like pejoratively, like, you just, because you see it in poker too. Mm-hmm. Poker used to be like degens and boomers and, just gamblers. And now you have a bunch of like autistic motherfuckers like showing up who are just like, 25-year-old autists who are just like savants at playing games.
You can't win.
You're drawing bet against these guys, man. Yeah. And so you see it a lot here. I think when people start seeing like bigger prize pools, and I think NFBC just kind of got a lot of pub through Twitter. Mm-hmm. You see people, younger people who are like, yeah, I'm into this, and I don't play just on vibes. Like I got spreadsheets, I got regression analyses, mm-hmm. All this stuff. They're going to come at it from a very analytical perspective, and that's just going to make the game harder. Just like just like with poker, the advent of poker solvers kind of raised the bar, right? Mm. So you had all these guys who were really good vibes players for years and years. Like when we first started watching poker in the early 2000s, most of them didn't make it. Most mm-hmm. of them by 2020 were long dust, because the analytics of the whole deal, the people who are using them just got way ahead, and people who were just straight on vibes like couldn't keep up. And I think we're seeing to a lesser extent that happen in NFBC. Like, you'll sign up for a main or whatever, and you'll be like, yeah, I don't even know like 4 or 5 of these people.
And this guy's got an MBA and from NYU, and they went to. They just finished an internship at came off from being a stockbroker, and now like, you know what, I'm going to do NFBC now for a couple of years. I saved up in my late teens. So,
exactly. So you'll find these people who like you don't even know, and they end up being really good. Mm-hmm. So I think the landscape of NFBC has changed, and you probably know more about it because you've been playing NFBC quite a bit longer than I have. By
the way, relating that to MLB players, like for example, you've got the Manny Machado thing. This is now a couple of weeks old, of course, but him, it's just like, hey, screw your analytics. I'm going off vibes, but in a way, there is, even if he doesn't really know it or think about it, like of course there is, there is still analytical analysis to what he's doing, even if he's trying to play dumb. And on the flip side of that. David Stearns, who's obviously the Mets just fired Carlos Mendoza, and there's a lot of flack. Bye-bye. There's a lot of flack for Stearns, like why wasn't he fired as well? Like he's building strictly on value, like going with the a pricier Billy Bean model. But it's like, all right, let me what did my analysis say on this player, and how much like basically like working off, I guess, like ADP, right? Like trying to squeeze out profits, and then those teams, they don't have the vibes, right? And then they're not working out either. Mets are one of the worst teams in baseball. Guys keep getting hurt. So I guess talk about that from like the way real life teams are being built.
Yeah, it certainly teams that don't use analytics are going to fall behind. Like there's just, there's just no way to not, right? Because like we use analytics as this kind of blanket term. And, you know, people, the majority of people like don't even understand. It's just like, of course you use analytics. It's just data to like try to get to more efficient answers. And I think the reason why we see so much pushback on analytics, and we see it from the players, you were talking about Manny Machado. By the way, Manny, you know, analytics didn't make you fat or, you know, hit sub 200, right? It's not the analytics fault. It's your fault.
Yeah,
Like, get it together, brother.
Only one man to blame.
Yeah. I mean, come on, bro. But I think the thing is this, and I don't know if people can really articulate it like this, but the reason I think that we get so much pushback on analytics is because it strips away a lot of the magic that sports makes us feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like when we were kids, like, it's like, oh, who's better? You know, Randy Johnson or Pedro, right? Who is the better center fielder? Was it Mays or Mantle? And there's no right answer to these questions. And this was like at the heart of everything that's wonderful about baseball, that mystery of it.
Mm-hmm.
And as we get more analytically inclined, you kind of pull back the curtain and be like, oh, well, Mays was worth 20 more WAR than Mickey Mantle. And the boomers are like, wait a minute, like you can't just encompass these guys in the stat. And, you know, the nerds are like, yes, you can. You know, and it strips away also some of the stuff that makes baseball beautiful, right? I was just thinking the other day, like, when's the last time you saw a straight up hit and run, right? Yeah. A hit and run where, you know, the shortstop vacates the hole and a lefty puts one the other way on the ground into the vacated hole. The guy goes to third. It's just a very aesthetically pleasing play that we don't hardly ever see anymore because the analytics have shown that actually this doesn't like create runs. And we see it in basketball as well. You know, it's the age of threes and layups. You know, the mid-range jumper is gone. You know, all this analytics strips away a lot of the wonder and mystery of the games. And does it make them more efficient? Absolutely. But does it kind of make a little less of that like wonder and, you know, magic?
It does. Yeah. And it's obviously transforming youth sports as well with, you know, training, development, like the fact that some kids are, you know, looking at the NHL draft that's going to be tonight, like just how few players there are that are under 5'10", and anyone that is, it's just like, oh my God, it's a miracle that this guy made it. And I understand, you know, the sport and everything. Even goalies are the average size of a goalie back then, and these guys didn't even wear freaking helmets. It was like 5'10". Now these guys are like 6'1", 6'2" on average. You just have to be like you know, I mean, how about the MLB combine? There's some kid, forgot how old he is, maybe like 17, and apparently his hand measure is like biggest in the world, but you know, for a baseball player, for a 17-year-old, he throws 101, and just everything has changed so much from our era. And I know this isn't the same, but like, you know, talking to my kid, he's like, what's better, pizza or burgers? I'm like, well, that's your choice. You know, I mean, that's not your choice, but that's like what you think. That's your opinion. Yeah. And with baseball, like, and the thing about arguments in general, you can spin things any way you want, and you can make them very analytical, very vibesy, but typically it's going to be a mixture of those things. And that's what I feel like the best successful fantasy baseball players and real life managers and you know, front offices, that's what they're doing. They're not married to one way or the other.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. You know, it's, you know, hate to, you know, suck on the teat at all because he gets, you know, enough pub. But like one of the things about like Phil Dussault, right, is he's obviously like mega Excel nerd. You know, just creating his own systems and, you know, all this
not
stuff.
Even Excel, it's on different level. Excel
yeah.
I mean, he's, you know, he laughs at Excel people now.
Yeah, using Claude and ChatGPT. I'm quite sure.
I don't work for Claude. Claude works for me.
Yeah. But bottom line is like, you know, he's like the final end boss nerd when it comes to analytics. But what really stands out to me about him is like how much ball he actually knows. You know, it's not just numbers for him. Like he actually does get the vibes part of the game as well. I think that's really apparent if you listen to him on pods. And so, you know, it's not just, I'm good at the numbers. It's like, I know what the numbers mean, right? Because at the end of the day, the numbers are all going to be the final numbers are all going to be from inputs, and inputs are not always going to be objective. Like there's going to be some subjectivity that goes into that. You make projections, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not just running them all through a filter and being like, oh yeah, I'm just plugging in the bad X, and those are my rankings, right? And certainly, I think when it comes to like projections and stuff, if you're not using projections in fantasy baseball or football, but baseball, like you're just going to take the L. Like you're not going to win probably. But if you just take them at face value, you're also not going to win because you have to interpret the projections quite a bit, right? If you spit out, the auction calculator on Fangraphs through whatever system, you're just going to get all these dollar values. You can't just look at that and be like, oh, this guy is worth that, because that's not how it works. That's just a median projection. So there's always going to be some art that goes into that goes into it. You just have to marry the art with the science. So I think I just spent like 3 minutes kind of echoing what.
Yeah, no. To follow up on that, I mean, like even Phil's inputs are like I know he tries to keep things as like trusting his model, but in order to trust the model, it's the inputs that are put in. And so even though he's attempting or is trying to keep objective and go off of the numbers, he will have revelations as he goes throughout the season and make those adjustments. So something that is ball knowing or analytical, he will readjust his formulas to get it closer to those what he's looking for, that kind of even makes more sense from a vibes perspective, even though he will never say you probably will never say the word vibes, but there are some baked in vibes in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there needs to be. So I think when you see like some of the more successful NFBC players of the last couple of years, I don't know, Todd Hoppe, Jason Santu, like these kind of guys, they're kind of like fitting an archetype, right? Clark Olson, they're fitting an archetype. Like they're obviously using systems. They're obviously analytically inclined, but they know ball. And at the end of the day, there isn't a lot of substitute for knowing ball, because the baseball players are human. They're not going to just finish their season at their 50th percentile projection all the time, or even that often.
Yeah, you can win a DFS contest as baseball without knowing baseball by on a model on any given day, but you're not going to win a fantasy league in that fashion. It's a grind, 26 weeks. We're about halfway through it, 50% of the season. We're going to talk some fab as well. Just a couple of players I wanted to bounce off you. First of all, dude, like Dylan Dingler, like talk about vibes, just like based on that name, wouldn't you think like we should have kind of been in on him more or drafted him more? Like this guy is absolutely insane. I know if you're looking at a player rater, Fangraphs or Razzball, like you're going to see a lot of catchers in the top 15, like 5 catchers. And yes, there's a catcher boost, multiplier, inflation, whatever you want to call it, for the catchers, but it's still impressive. Even if you make it, position agnostic, he's still been a top 25 hitter. And just a lot of these catchers, man, like we were very catcher rich compared to how we used to be.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that in a 15-team league or a 12-team where you need to roster 2 catchers, like having good catchers is important. And, I know you're not like early catcher guy, right? So
I have a little bit more in the past. I'm like open to it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, when you see guys like Phil and Toby, taking like,
Cal Raleigh last year,
seventh round catchers all the time, you're like, those guys are pretty smart. They have really good success. Maybe I should, open up my mind a little bit to it. Yeah. I'm generally not like an early 2 catcher guy. I try to take like one guy like I really believe in early. Not necessarily early, but like within the first 10 rounds generally. Which means that I like to have the availability open for that second catcher spot. Because there's going to be guys that show up on fab. I think one of the suckier things is to have like 2 high-priced catchers, and then somebody is really good available on fab, and you're like, I'm not going to take him because I'm not going to carry a third catcher. And then, one of your catchers gets hurt, and you're like, well, I wish I'd done that. So bottom line is there were a number of catcher 2 types that have done extremely well. I wasn't particularly in on Dingler. I have him in my OC, which I'm really happy about, because I took 7th round Sal Perez, and I was like, oh, I'm golden, like, great. Sal Perez is now my C2, but there was this whole group of guys in that spot, and you need to choose right. That's the bottom line. There's going to be like 6 or 7 like C2s that you're going to kind of like, and you're going to need to choose right. If you chose Dingler, I mean, you're pumped. Like my guy was Ryan Jeffers. I had Ryan Jeffers everywhere.
Hey, he's about to be a Yankee, so I hear.
He probably is.
Yeah. Rehabbing. He's available in a bunch of leagues and in OCs. Like if there's ever probably is back next week, but if there was a catcher to stash you could wait on for a week, I think he might be one of those guys. So big power.
Yeah, I've actually done quite a bit of taking zeros at catcher 2 while I waited for somebody to come back. Like when I had a lot of Kirk, when Kirk started like, oh, I'm gonna be back soon. I was like, I'm just dropping my other C2. Like I can wait a week or two. Stashed Francisco Alvarez when he got dropped, and it's just like, well, I'd way rather have access to this guy and not have 3 catchers on my roster. Just take a 0 for a week or two. Like what's that shitty C2 gonna get you? Right? Like, well,
if you lose by 1 RBI, then it might be that. But sometimes the batting out, it depends. I think in a 12, in any format, you want to kind of pile up the volume. But sometimes, like you're trying to play I'm going to catch Danny Jansen or Henry Davis on their hot week, and then they go 3 for 20, and not even 3, 1 for 20, and it stinks. That's a big batting average thing.
As somebody who I did fab Liam Hicks most places because I think the Jeffers injury was like right when Hicks was starting to get hot, so he was like my fab replacement. Now he's hurt, so now I can't take any more zeros at catcher. So now I have a lot of Jonah Heim in my lineups.
Yeah,
not feeling real great about it, buddy.
Yeah, you just get some of that. You get some of that athletics exposure. It works. They're going to be in that park all next week.
Yeah, we need the A's. We need the A's to be good.
Yes. So, man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's see. Before I want to do some trade deadline stuff before we get into Fab. But first, have you just ever kind of noticed that resemblance between Brandon Marsh and Jason Worth? Like it's pretty uncanny. In so many ways. Like even their stance in the outfield. Of course, they're unkempt, beards. Both played for the Phillies. Fantasy value. It's really interesting. And Marsh is having an incredible year. I think he's hitting 325, top 5 in batting average. Every time I look, he's hitting a home run. Of course, I'm my 6th place OC teams. I need, but yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, Marsh is. I'm not the first person to point this out, but Marsh is one of those mega vibes guys. Jason Worth was kind of a vibes guy too, right? He had a good on base percentage, so the nerds liked him, but he was a vibes player with the beard and everything. And Marsh is kind of like that. Like I said, I'm not the first person to point this out, but his BABIP is abnormally high. Like he's got one of the highest BABIPs in history. And yeah, I haven't looked into why, because I don't own any Brandon Marsh because my vibes are completely bad. But we can call him the new age Jason Worth. He just is missing the ex catcher stuff. When we look at some of the ex catchers around the league, Bryce Harper used to be a catcher.
Yeah.
Kyle Schwarber used to be a catcher.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Kyle Schwarber still had C eligibility? He would be like Cal Raleigh if Cal Raleigh was last year's Cal Raleigh every year.
He'd be like Ohtani.
Yeah.
Basically without the pitching, of course. Yeah. By the way, let me ask you this. What little quick trivia. So there was one team broadcaster from this team that in a baseball game 2 years ago when Brandon Marsh was at the plate, he called him Jason Worth, even though Jason Worth had been retired several years, 6 years at that point, 5 years. What organization, what broadcast did you think that's from?
That's a great question. I'll go with the Giants.
No, No, it was from the Rockies, of course.
Oh, I don't know. Is that Tom Brenneman? I don't know any Rockies
the Pain
announcers.
Eaters, just like Rockies organization in general. So
Yeah.
that's how they roll. What are people going to learn their lesson? Just like don't. Why are you playing in the Colorado Rockies closer market? Like, why were we drafting Victor Vodnik? Like, I mean, it's so bad. Every time there's like some new, like last week it was, everyone was all about Jaden Hill. I know Jaden Hill was a solid prospect and unfortunately is hurt now, but where do these things come from? Juan Mejia a couple weeks ago, the Seth Halverson experience last year was just absolutely like demonic. It's been bad.
Yeah, I knew well enough to stay away from the Rockies. I think Senzatella is like 8-0 now. I know he's not their closer,
He's
but
tremendous.
He's a guy I totally wrote off. Yancey, my partner in one of the mains, he's like, yeah. What do you think about Senzatella? I'm like, absolutely fucking not, bro. Like, no Rockies pitchers on this roster at any point. Like, just let's not do it. And generally a good heuristic. But there are other organizations in the league. Think of the Giants, think of the Angels, where I have done some chasing, and they're probably just as bad as the Rockies. Like, not as bad of a home park, but these teams are not like, they're not winning very many games, but they're also like so haphazard with their closer usage, and they're just like a dog chasing its own tail. That's just like, why am I doing this? Right. And I think, closers have been a really, wild ride this year as well. Maybe not in the last couple of weeks, but but the thing is, the worst thing you can do for yourself is like need saves. And then you're like chasing, I got Ryan Walker, somebody dropped him. Oh, well, Killian got the last save. Now I'm going to get him. Oh, actually Killian's now in low leverage. I'm going to go to Cole Winn. Now they're back to Killian. And you're trying to like chase the dog's tail by itself, and you're getting no saves and blowing a bunch of money. Man, it's not the kind of ride that I'm trying to be on, and I'm quite sure the Rockies are part of that.
Yeah, I mean, A's are in a similar boat, right? 2 weeks ago, it was chasing the Elvis Alvarado, who was probably like the sixth maybe closer when Dan Thompson's Red Fox has been talking about this since the beginning of the year. Before the season started, manager Mark Kotze says, I'm not really going to have a closer. I'm just going to get guys in there and have them blow up, and then I'll bring in someone new. Yeah, is that going to stop people from chasing Mason Barnett this week? Nope. Mason Barnett just got the last save. He's the new closer du jour.
Yeah, and no thanks. And it's really obvious after the fact. You're like, why did I do this? Like, this was a waste of my time and fab money. But in the season, when you're like, wow, 5 saves could get me 3 standings points, and I'm in 4th place. This is a big deal. I get it. But I think the key is, you just fab Brian Baker in the first week or whatever. There's actually a guy in one of my mains who drafted Brian Baker in the 30th round. And man, I'm mega jealous of him. But what it does when you have 2 closers, and I think a lot of people got this at the beginning of the year, but if you have 2 guys who like have the job and pitch well, you don't need to spend that fab money chasing your own tail. And you can use that money to actually like fill the holes that all these injuries are causing. And, it just makes for a more efficient season. I think it's way better. So that doesn't mean that we have all the answers. Like closers are getting dusted all the time. So a lot of people who took early closers, RIP Edwin Diaz, they tried.
Not be back.
Yeah, they tried. But yeah, it's a silly category that we play in, bottom line.
Yeah, Louis Varland, man, like it was just like writing on the wall for so long. But you know what? You got you're in the brother Louis business.
I'm in the Louis Varland business, and brother, business is a booming. I mean, he is like he's Mason Miller. It's insane. He's as good as Mason Miller. Not actually, but like really fucking close.
Really close. Yep.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. And the thing that threw us off just a little bit was John Schneider said after the big Hoffman blow up before Varland took the job, he goes, Hoffman's my guy. And then Hoffman blows one more. He's like, wait, I have no choice.
So the only reason I was on Varland is not because I'm smart. It's because I'm dumb. It's because I owned Hoffman. So I'm railing every one of Hoffman's outings, and I'm like, this guy is dust. And the thing is he's not actually dust, right? He's got this mega high strikeout rate. He's just super unlucky, like all this stuff. But sometimes you like go with the vibes and you're like, dude, could you do that louder? The vibes are super bad. And, at some point, and Louis Varland's just dominating in this role. And you're like, dude, I am so scared that Hoffman's just going to blow it again. And so I actually, I did get some Louis Varland kind of the week before he got big.
That's the way. That's the best feeling. When you get your, sometimes you just click on your roster just to take a look at how much savings you got. Like
Love you,
Louis Varland. All right. Don't worry, we'll get him out. We'll get him out here in an hour. I know he's got work to do.
My wife, who hasn't eaten anything all day, is like trying to get like the smallest morsel in her mouth, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
This is an everybody pod. We're all here.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. MLB. Let's talk real brief on trade deadline stuff. I know it's still quite a while away, but there are probably going to be a lot of deals, and then we'll wrap things up with next week's schedule and FAB. But just from the big names,
Vlad, honestly, I'd rather do like the second half like bounce back guy.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, then I would the trade deadline. Like,
you're a good call. It's a little early too.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, for our purposes, for fantasy purposes, a lot of this stuff, like, it's out of our control. The big thing is going to be like closers moving, and I think like Aroldis Chapman is kind of like the obvious choice as far as closers go to go somewhere else. I think the Cubs are a team with a really big need. We'll see if like when and if Palencia comes back, but even when he comes back, they would be really well served by having like an ace closer. I know Palencia is good, but like when he's the only good pitcher in their bullpen, they could add somebody. So that's what's really going to matter for us in fantasy. And we may not get like the best idea of that for a couple of weeks, but like if Ryan Jeffers gets traded to, I don't know, the Yankees, or Joe Ryan gets traded somewhere, it's like, he's not on our waiver wires. Like, we're not taking him out of our lineup. So it's like, we hope it goes somewhere good, but it's kind of out of our control.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Like I just did a second half bounce back candidates, and I'm putting it together. My original thought was, let me find like sort of fab values for the second half. And I kind of noticed I was forcing myself to just, find names, and that isn't, it's not coming from the right place, and it's not the best advice. And so then I'm just, guessing. So I wanted to be confident in what I did. And so my second half bounce back candidates, I guess, are less for NFBC people. It's more for like, trade targets, right? I also do a trade article over on Fangraphs Weekly. But what I wrote about here were just guys that were like, super unlucky. They're going to have, better spots, or just, somebody like Brandon Nimmo, who he's been without Seager and Langford for a big chunk of the season. His power metrics, everything from barrel rate, hard hit rate, exit velocity, bat speed, everything is higher this year than it ever has. He just got to a new team, yet he only has 8 home runs and has a 30-point higher XBA than average. Like, there's just a lot of signs for me that says, first of all, don't drop Nimmo if you were considering it in a shallow league, but also that's a potential cheap trade target, right? So that was kind of the guys I was looking at. And I do have one kind of shady choice that I'll bring up. I wanted to, give you the floor. Any second half guys that you love?
Well, I guess my first one would be Fernando Tatis Jr. And, he's not a guy like if you draft him in the first or second round, you're never dropping him. So like, how much does that help? But if you're like in a trade league, I would trade for Fernando Tatis Jr. for somebody who's like frustrated with him. He's hitting 350 over the last month. All 3 of his homers on the season have come in the last month. He's just a guy that, his problem is obviously he's hitting the ball on the ground so much. And, it's a problem for him. It's a problem for Vladimir Guerrero. Like, last time I checked, you can't hit homers if you're hitting the ball on the ground. But the bottom line is his floor is very high in terms of batting average and stolen bases. And so if he's a guy, even if he only gets back and hits 10 homers, if he's a guy that hits 280 or 290 in the second half with 10 homers and 20 steals and is on that 20/40 pace or whatever, that's a great player. And I just, even though my Padres have been so awful this season, I think that's actually reason to buy in, because you don't expect guys like Manny and Jackson Merrill, even if they're going to have down seasons, to be quite as bad in the second half as they were in the first. Like, natural regression, I think, will boost the scoring of that team. And I think that'll help Tatis as well. So he's a guy I would be targeting because I know the people who drafted him are mega frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, I keep mentioning this, but I've got a little side bet that somebody in the FTN Discord offered, and someone else took on it as well. And it was about 3 weeks ago, maybe a week, 2 weeks before his first home run. And this guy said that Tatis wasn't going to hit 15 home runs. And, just him pacing out a typical season from that point would have been like 25 home runs. So I took it, and it was for like a DC. We're going to, he's probably going to get himself 2 DCs, but the over under was 15. So I took the over, so did someone else, but it's, at the moment, not looking good for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair bet. Like Tatis is a guy that could easily just hit 4 in a week and you're like, oh buddy, we're rolling, like get me in the DC. So, but I think at the time it was made, it was probably a pretty fair line. Yeah.
The guy that I brought up, and I know people are tired of hearing this name, and you might say, oh, you're trying to make your preseason pick still happen. You're still, is your new Tyler O'Neill. You grasping at straws here, but that guy was, it's Matt Wallner. Matt Wallner is the guy that I'm looking at. So, crazy as it sounds, I think he'll be back in that lineup. I think Buxton, even if he doesn't get traded, there's not a lot in that outfield I think that is going to impact him. He's crushing it. He's, power is back. He's back to like 13 home runs over the last, I think, month since he's been down in AAA. And the thing is, he's always been a major source of power. So fantasy teams that might be in need of power, I think he's only like 3% right now. Usually something like this, backfires. But the thing with Wallner, it's always elite power, and he's always been in a platoon in previous years, which is obviously better for his batting average and all that. When he does come back, I think he's going to be a mostly everyday guy. But it's the like body injuries. He is kind of Tyler O'Neill-ish, where he's always got something. It's oblique, or he's just like swinging too hard. He's tearing something. Like now it's like this like residual torso thing. He got hit by a fastball, and he's just been like, the pain, I guess, has been getting gradually worse over time. And this was before, of course, this is when he was playing. This happened early in the spring. But now he's back. I think he's going to come back and pop 15 home runs in the second half.
See, I actually like this call, not because I like Matt Wallner, but just because he's somebody that people could actually pick up in his available places. So, yeah, I don't know if I can take this ride with you, but I respect the call. I respect the call. A couple other hitters. I think Tyler Soderstrom is a guy that I'm looking for a good second half. Like he showed really strong skills last year. And just when, I'm not a huge baseball savant guy, but I like to kind of like see how guys are, performing in certain areas. It's not that I don't like baseball savant. It's just, I don't want to conflate like the descriptive with the predictive. Right. And I think a lot of the stuff from, that you see on baseball savant is more descriptive. But I will say, like, just looking at like the skills base for Tyler Soderstrom, he does some things that I like. A, he's got really good plate discipline, and B, he's got really good bat speed, right? So he's like 70th percentile in plate discipline and laying off pitches. He's 86th in walk rate, and then he's 76th percentile in bat speed. And so again, when you like look at like his skill set with the fact that like Oakland is just going to, or Sacramento, I'll never stop calling him Oakland, but like Sacto is going to get like mega hot in the summer, in that ballpark. And he's a guy that's been fine, but maybe a little disappointing in the first half. I could see him being a guy that has a big second half.
They'll love it. I mean, just like it's going to be hot. And I say this almost every episode, like a broken record. It's going to be hot in the summer in Sacramento. The ball, I mean, like you think these guys are hitting well, you just wait. I mean, just anyone with a pulse out there, even like right now, Carlos Cortez has lost a bit of playing time. Like maybe just hold on to him in your 15 teamers, because you're going to drop him right before the playing time starts picking up. I know it's hard with a 7-player bench a lot of times, but just get those guys. The Rockies at home coming up. By the way, speaking of which, let's open this final section with a schedule I've been looking at. I even started writing about it a month ago, and now I've hyped it up so much that it's probably like just destined to fail. But the Miami Marlins, I mean, like, what kind of psychopath like goes searching for Heriberto Hernandez like 3 weeks before, right?
Yeah,
Before this week.
you're a sick pup for sure, but I appreciate that about you.
But it's 4 at Coors, it's 3 at Sacramento, at Sutter, and it's just a great week. And there are players available, so I think those guys are really kind of some of the best targets there. Playing time with players. I mean, the offense has shifted a lot lately, and what I mean by that is Connor Norby wasn't playing. Now he's been demoted, and Christopher Morel DFA'd. He's really no longer part of the picture.
RIP my DC shares of Christopher Morel. Tough scene.
Oh, man. Let's see. And you'll do it again next year. Right? When he signs with the Rockies.
Yeah, fucking do it again.
Fucking do it again. Griffin Conine is going to be available in a lot of leagues. He's been DHing against righty. He even hit against the lefty. He was in the lineup the other day. Estuary Ruiz, I don't really, he is essentially only playing against lefties. And I don't remember a few days ago where he was in the lineup when Kumar Rocker was going to have an opener. And when McCullough found out it was an opener, he just like pulled him before his first at bat. Estuary Ruiz. It was pretty messed up.
It's okay, because what you really want from Estuary is to pinch run and get you a steal. Like, yes. I don't need him in the starting lineup. Get the kid in the 8th inning. Let him work his magic.
Yeah. So what do you think? This week, Miami. Do you like that?
Yeah, I mean,
gotta love the schedule.
Massive. So I think Casey is like 34%. He's 34% owned in OCs. Hernandez, do you know what he is in mains?
You know what? He was 75% last week, and I wanted to get him in both my mains, and he was not available in either of them. As of right now,
yeah, he's 75 right now,
and he's 75 now. Yeah,
yeah.
And he was like maybe 73. Not a lot of people out on him last week.
Yeah, and Casey's up to 100. By the way, our sharp friend Dan Thompson, Red Fox Roto, has him in our main. We're in a main together.
Oh, okay.
So good job by him. Very smart. You must be rubbing off on him. But no, I absolutely agree. That is just like the mother of all schedules. And yeah, I think not often do you want a lot of Marlins, but this week may actually be the week for it. I will say a guy that I'm kind of into right now is the Temu Max Muncy, right? So
yeah.
Zach Geloff got hurt.
Yeah,
I think
Max P. Muncy.
Yeah,
that's his middle name. That's his middle name.
Yeah, P. Muncy.
Yeah.
But he figures to get an uptick of playing time in the short term. I don't know that Geloff's injury is particularly serious, but it's 10 days. So he's a guy, like, if you need a streamer for the next week, he's second and third eligible. He's a guy that I think can plug some holes for the next week, and it has a pretty nice schedule going for himself as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Marlins, they're going to face the 2 pitchers with the worst ERAs in baseball. So like the only guys with an ERA over 8, I believe, or was it over 7? In the Andrew Painter vicinity, but actually even higher, and that's Michael Lorenzen and Kyle Freeland. Like those guys are so bad. I'm always often do an article. I was noticing how bad Painter was, and then I went to see. I wonder how bad he is among qualified starting pitchers, and he was up there. And I'm like, what if I just drop down qualified, just down by like 5 innings pitched? And I was like, oh my God, like all the Rockies like popping up off the top, and then like a full run more. It was just insane.
Yeah, they're not even like, they're not even hurt, which is why they don't qualify. They just only go like 3.5 innings per start because they get beat up so bad. That's why they don't qualify. I will say, just as kind of a corollary, one of the things I do that I like to do is just like, take that Fangraphs leaderboard and just like cut off a couple of the qualifications, because
mm-hmm. You're missing out on players. You're not seeing a full picture, or somebody that just came up, or maybe just a few innings or plate appearances short of something. Yeah,
100%. But it's like, it's pretty easy. Like we were talking about like second half bounce backs, and like I don't think this is particularly actionable, but like when you just sort for like K- BB or Sierra, which has some good predictive qualities. Guys like Jesus Luzardo pop up, right? Nolan McLean pop up. These are guys like, kissing the top 10 in terms of like K- BB and Sierra that have like over 4 ERAs. if I'm in a trading league, those are the kind of players like I would be saying, yeah, I think these guys have gotten pretty unlucky. I'm going to try to trade for them and hopefully enjoy a big second half.
Yeah, I mean, you said not particularly actionable, but it actually is, because to me, like KBB percentage, and then like looking at Sierra difference versus current, and then also in addition to that, looking at like strand rate, BABIP, and all those things. I mean, that tells me the entire picture, and to me, it is very. It's not these. A lot of things aren't supposed to be predictive, but with somebody like Luzardo, like unless he's hurt, the guy had what after another shelling early in the year, 9 ERA. I mean, it's quite common sense it's going to come down, and strikes out a bunch of guys and things like that. And when you shorten a window, you can even look at the last 30 days. You can do that on Fangraphs. Look at the last 30 days, take it off qualified, just see what take it down a few innings, and go to KBB percentage, go to E-F, which is similar, but it's ERA minus FIP. Or ERA, you can plug in your own quick formula. If you can't do this, then you definitely have problems. Probably shouldn't be playing. It's just,
you're drawing dead.
It's this number minus that number, and then So, but yeah, looking at all things, those things I think are super valuable, and for me, it's a big key. And the fact that I get to do articles about these things and finding the lucky and the unlucky, I always put those in quotes because then the nerds come after me, even though I am one of those nerds. But a lot of those guys, it comes to fruition. Sorry, last thing, Tyler Mahle, beginning of last season. Remember, he was with the Rangers, right? It was clear as day, like just super lucky in every possible respect. And then like an ERA of like 1.2 with like a FIP over 5, xFIP over 5, and like a 220 BABIP. And it's just like, okay, this dam is going to break, and it damn well did.
Yeah, I mean, I will say one of the joys of fantasy baseball, like one of my favorite things is like when somebody else's player that I don't own is just getting insanely lucky, and then the regression hits for them, and I'm like, yes, finally, like justice is being served. I don't like it nearly as much when it happens to my guys. Like, I have a number of these guys. Like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on like Nick Martinez and Robleski and Troy Holton. Or Troy Melton.
Troy Melton, yeah.
Yeah, Melton had a really good start yesterday, which is going to boost some things. But if you look under the hood before his last start, man, it is ugly. Like it is not looking good. Like before his last start, he had a 484 Sierra, an 8% K minus BB, a 23.7% CSW, which is just like, I mean, so bad. I mean, awful. And then, but he's dominated every start. Like he's just giving up 1 earned run, 2 earned runs every start. And he's a guy that I spent a lot of fab on. He was like a big target of mine when he came back and was available. So I've been looking under the hood and I'm like, fuck, dude, like this guy's about to get lit up, like the way he's pitching. But not yet. So when it happens, my league mates will be laughing at me. But it's interesting that you brought up Tyler Mahle because he's a guy, I think he's like 23% in mains. And I think he's a guy who's now back. He had a pretty decent first start. He's what if I'm actually going to be looking at in Fab? Yeah.
You can look, but what if I told you his 2 start week is at Arizona, at Colorado? Is that something you still might be interested in?
Yes, actually. And not because I like it, but because I'm a desperate, terrible person. Like desperation's a stinky cologne. As somebody who has rostered Ben Brown everywhere and now is going to need to drop Ben Brown everywhere, I need somebody who can throw some innings. I will say this. I'm not scared of that course. Like, I'm not afraid of it. Like, dude, I threw Ranger Suarez at Coors a couple days ago.
Oh, of course. I would do that. Yeah.
Soft tossing lefty in Coors. I don't care. Because the thing about Coors is that you get to face the Rockies. And the Rockies are stinky bung. And it's just like, okay, like you might get dealt with a little bit. Like it can happen because it's Coors, but like, dude, that team sucks. And I want to throw guys against them. Obviously better when they're out of Coors, but like, I'm not going to let Coors scare me off when they're facing, Kyle Karros and, these jokers. Like these guys suck.
Kyle Caros, by the way, fallen into a platoon now, short side platoon. So just keep that in mind before you spend the low double digits on him.
No, don't do that.
Not you, the listeners. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually
viewers.
have Kyle Caros on my first place main because I needed a J-Ram replacement and he was in Coors. And after a series of 1 for 3s or 0 for 2s and then getting pinch hit for because the Rockies are the Rockies and he's like hitting ninth. Today, I finally get to feel pure joy. Like the most joy I've ever felt since, probably my kid was born is that I get to replace him with Connor Griffin.
That's the activation is such a great feeling. That Friday, I get to put Wyatt Langford in. Let's go.
Yeah, I get to put Denzel Guzman in the third base spot and put Connor Griffin back in my lineup. And buddy, my heart is full.
It's the little things for us fantasy players, baseball players. By the way, think about this. I hadn't really thought about this. So we've rostered Kyle Caros. We've also played long enough to have rostered his dad.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully we play long enough to roster Kyle's kid.
Dodger great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely makes me feel extremely old. And I actually have this mega big bias toward juniors, right? So anybody who's the son of a baseball player, I'm fully in on. So Fernando Tatis, I'm in on you. Right.
But you can't get on them all because they're all in the first and second round.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Luis Robert.
You get Justin Crawford.
Who I
do have, but maybe isn't, the best shining example of somebody who's going to do good. But then again, neither is Vladimir Guerrero or Fernando Tatis. So, or Bo Bichette, maybe I should rethink my strategy of nostalgia playing a role in my fantasy analysis.
Yeah, no, you got to have some of the vibes. By the way, any vibes on Noah Schultz or possibly stashing Hurston Waldrop? That Braves rotation is dripping for sure of stink, as you say. J.R. Ritchie is now gone out of the rotation. Hopefully he'll be back at some point. I do like him. Martin Perez is doing damage there. It's just Chris Sale and some dudes. The Bryce Elder regression, the most obvious thing ever.
Yeah, I will say, maybe you can give me a little more analysis on Waldrop. I don't know that much about him, but I will say, Noah Schultz feels like an asymmetrical bet. I don't necessarily think he's going to come in and smash. If you look under the hood for Schultz, things have not been very good this year. They just haven't been. His Sierra's 517, 6.5% K minus BB, 8.1. Yeah, not great. 8.1% swinging strike rate. That's not what was advertised. So you can easily look at him and be like, fuck that guy. I don't want him. But the thing was, he had good minor league numbers and he was going for triple digits in FAB when he first came up, for better or for worse. So if you can stash him, he's on a rehab assignment now. He'll probably start later this week or next week. Mm-hmm. If he's a guy I bought him for, I don't know, $5 or $7 in FAB last week, not because I believe he's going to do great, but I just think it's an asymmetrical bet in terms of upside versus downside.
Yeah.
Where you get into trouble is if you spend $100 on him. Where you don't get into trouble is if you spend $5 on him and wait and see. And if he doesn't pan out, you can cut him, use that spot somewhere else. But he's certainly a guy with talent and big strikeout upside. And I think that's a bet worth making, especially if you have somebody like Ben Brown and, you need replacements.
No, that's rough, man. He just got the neck thing going on. That Cubs rotation so bad they added David Peterson. How about that?
Desperation is in fact a stinky cologne.
The stinkiest of all. Waldrop is actually so obviously first round pick back in 2023. He looked really good in the majors. He was up. He was drafted a lot in DCs. Going anywhere from 200 to 250. Didn't have quite the massive strikeout upside that he had in the minors. I believe in the majors, but he's one of those guys, right? The Braves have been known as the solid pitching spot for many years. But so he's back to health. He had an elbow injury, but he was reinstated by the Braves and then demoted to AAA. So essentially, or optioned to AAA, and essentially going to be they're probably taking a few starts, and I would guess he comes into the rotation at some point, unless Bryce Elder is back to crushing it like he did in April and May, or like Ronaldo Lopez rediscovers himself, which I guess is possible. He's going to pitch 60 pitches today.
Yeah, no thanks on that. Did you just see me throw something? Were you watching me?
No, I had clicked over to Waldrop's tab.
Oh, dude.
What'd you do?
You guys on the live stream, if you saw this, I took a pillow and I killed a fly with it. It was on my carpet, and I straight up nailed his ass. It was one of the most gangster things like I've done. On a live stream. Some video evidence. It looks like this. I will say, at this point in the season, getting guys with upside is super important. Like, guys are going to get hurt. You need quality pitching. And the thing about Waldrop is, like, when you look at his minor league numbers, they don't especially stand out as like, oh, this guy's going to be an ace. Like, he struck out 9.5 per 9, kind of an elevated walk rate. But to me, I think pitchers are the ones who, like, they can change so quickly, right? One tweak of the mechanics, one adding of a pitch can totally change the trajectory of a pitcher. So I think, Waldrop's another guy, kind of like Schultz. I'm not sold that he's going to be any good, but it's an asymmetrical bet in terms of like upside versus downside. Like, you can pick him up pretty cheap, I'm guessing.
Real quick here, Randy's asking about Griffin Jack's rest of the season. Just kind of eyeballing it. Yeah, Sammy likes him. I like him as well. We just like to. I think we mentioned it in the Discord the other day. It's like the quality start thing is the only thing. Is if you have a quality start league, then he's just not really going beyond 5. He hasn't yet. But his ERAs, I think, among qualified pitchers since he starting again in late April is been top 20. KBB has been excellent. He's found his place again. It really stunk to see him stink, especially if you drafted him with a 120 overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, and his stuff is really good, is the thing. Like, this isn't smoke and mirrors. Like, Griffin Jax has been a really good quality pitcher for many years. Like, if you looked at I remember looking at the Fangraphs player rater, filtering it through like ATC this year. Griffin Jax came out as one of the highest dollar earning projected closers in the game. Mm-hmm. And that was only earning like 15 or 16 saves. They obviously didn't have him for full time. And now he's like, and every time he pitches and you look at the pitcher list cards that they tweet out every time, his stuff is like B plus, A minus. Like, dude, he's got really, really good stuff. I think he's a really quality pitcher. Obviously, he's with an organization that is known for churning out really good pitchers and getting the most out of them. I really like Griffin Jax. I wish I'd got on him. But I mean, what a sick run out for people that took Jackson like the 9th round. They're like, oh, I got my closer too. This guy's going to be great. Then he loses his job and never really had it actually. And they drop him. And then somebody else picks him up and they've got like a solid fantasy, like SP4 or whatever, depending on what size league you're in. Just a really solid major league quality pitcher.
That's actually a better fantasy feeling than just getting someone activated off the bench, just picking up someone else's what they thought was trash, and you actually, found $20, $100 bills inside.
Yeah. Yeah. This is actually what I thought had happened. I'm in a main with the Guilds, Andrew Geller, who's a very good player, and he dropped Aaron Nola in like April. And I'm like, ooh, I'm looking at Nola's estimators, his Sierra, his K- BB are good. I'm like, swoop. And I fabbed him for like $31 to a backup of like 28. I just nipped him and I'm like, oh yeah, like it is so good. And then he had a great first start after I got him. I'm like, Guilds, I fucked you. Let's go. And since then, there has not been a lot of dancing from this side of the room. Aaron Nola continues to be ass, and it turns out Guilds was actually very smart for getting him the fuck off his team.
Unbelievable. That's happened so much with so many of these players, like so many of these starters, especially the older guys, just guys, falling to, to quote you, ass, really, it's been bad. Let's wrap up with a few of these other guys. I mean, obviously you're dropping Cole Reagans if you have him. I don't know. Jansen Junk's a desperation at. He's at Colorado if he starts next week. Like, if you're going to want him, it's going to be for the second half.
I like Jansen. I like Jansen Junk, by the way.
he's good. Low walk rate.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's as I'm putting everything together before we started recording this, I was just doing all the fab work for the week and setting bid ranges and the players. It's not a particularly great week. Like people are going to be forcing sort of bad decisions or I don't know. Jose Cabrera is somebody that I feel like is going to get some love this week in Arizona. Do you know much about him, the pitcher for the Diamondbacks?
I do not.
All right, I'll wait for my article.
I'll know everything about him. I gotta wait for your article. By the way, Vlad doesn't pay me to pub this stuff, but I know a lot of you guys listen to this pod for free. You should sub to FTN if nothing else to read his fab article every week. Like I know. I can't believe the time that you put into this. You got kids. You have it's just like, I don't know how you do it. But to me, it's kind of where like I start my fab process, like basically throughout the week. I'm looking at stuff, I'm favoriting guys so that they're on my watch list and then I can look at that stuff. But like when it comes to like, how much should I bid? Where should I prioritize these guys? All this stuff. Like the first thing I do is go to the Trust the Gut article. Like I don't know what I'd do without it. Bottom line.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So no, it's no joke. So, for any of you guys listening, again, I'm not a paid shill, but I would just say this like friend to friend, like I have
no fab money left anyways. To pay
it doesn't matter.
I'm low and I'm saving for Kate Anderson. So,
Yeah, I'm also saving for Kate Anderson. But it's going to be exciting when he gets called up in, mid-August and is their setup guy or whatever.
Yeah. Piggybacker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm legit praying like Castillo just like rips his UCL or something. Like there needs to. No joke. Like you had a good run. No
joke. I literally hope he tears.
Yeah. I need this Kate Anderson stuff. But I will say, when we're looking at guys for next week, it is not exciting. I think you're absolutely right. Like I have my eyes set on like Jack Flaherty.
Man, did you not learn from the Aaron Nola experience?
Yeah. If you like Aaron Nola, you're gonna love this Jack Flaherty stuff. But it's like again, you need major league quality innings. Jack Flaherty doesn't necessarily provide those, but he does provide major league innings. And he does strike people out. Yeah, he does strike people out. So I mean, but that illustrates the kind of week we're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think to reiterate what you're talking about, like. Yeah, I may want to draft. I may want to stash some Schultz or Waldrop in spots where I can, but like I am legit looking at like Tyler Mahle and Jack Flaherty, just as guys that can like fill in and God willing not kill me. Unfortunately, these are the kind of weeks we get. But when you're somebody like you and I who have $200 or less fab left in a lot of leagues, these are the kind of weeks that make your money. Like it's like when you're in a poker tournament and you're short stacked, you're at 12 BBs or whatever. It's like, this is where you make your money. These are the, I can't waste $8 on somebody anymore. I need to make sure that bid is optimized down to 2 or 3. And this is really, it's ugly, but is the funnest part of fab for me when you're nursing the short stack and really have to make everything count.
Oh yeah. I mean, other names. I mean, we're getting guys off the suspension list, right? Like Max Kepler is back. He's with the Diamondbacks.
Let's go.
I wonder if it was an omen that the game that he was supposed to start hit 5th in got canceled on Friday, got postponed. So Kepler will make his debut this weekend. I've definitely been a fan in the past. Might get sucked back in if he hits a home run. You know how it goes.
Yep.
Justin Crawford's available in some leagues. Phillies are going to play mostly righties. Chase DeLauder, if there are any shares available, make sure to snag him. He'll be back this weekend. I don't know, Khalil Watson, if you're talking like, super deep leaguers. Of course, if you're talking 12 teams, it's get those Marlins. Rockies are at home this week. A's are at home. It's like, the big splash. It's going to be a huge offensive week. Got a bunch of teams that have 7 games. I would also avoid all those Angels. The team that has the most hitters available, like generally available in almost any format, are Angels. And it's like these guys like Wade Meckler, Vaughn Grissom, Oswald Peraza, Nolan Schonwell. Like other than Jorge Soler, just don't bother with any of those guys. And in fact, the Angels kind of have a pretty shitty schedule. They're like 3 at Seattle, 3 versus Boston at home against some lefties. So I wouldn't mess with that either.
Yeah. I have more Angels on my rosters than I'd like to. Does not #feel good. I will say, when we think about like what we're going to do with our fab, you were talking about Kate Anderson. I think Hunter Green is going to be the big prize. I don't even know what he's owned in the main, but like he's owned in one of my mains, and the rest he was undrafted, so he's not available. If you're somebody who has the fab hammer, I think this is what you are waiting for, right?
Yeah. I was just looking at it because because he isn't starting till next week, and because he wasn't drafted in so many teams, like I believe he doesn't become available in those leagues until next week. So I think he's pretty much like kind of max rostered where he is, but like exactly for next week, no matter what he does, and you need pitching, drop the hammer, drop the roto hammer.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do it. Like if I were thinking, somebody like James Anderson knows way better about like people who are going to get called up than I do. But Kate Anderson is a guy whose talent is so off the goddamn charts that like when he comes up, if I have the money, I'm just going to pay out for him. I don't see a path to failure. I see the minor league clips. I'm like, how can anybody hit him?
Yeah.
But again, like he might not come up till way later. He may not be a starter. He may be somebody who's in the bullpen. Hunter Green is a guy. I don't think it is very unlikely that we'll see somebody of his caliber that can really make an impact as like an SP1 or SP2 in the second half of the season. Like we're halfway through, like he could be a real difference maker. So I would say, if I had the hammer, I have a lot of fab and I need pitching. I'm not trying to waste my money. I'm trying to keep that leverage until he's available, whatever it is, whether it's next week or the week after. That's when I want to use that leverage. So that's what I would recommend.
And by the way, anyone looking for a band name just starting up in the garage, Saving for Cade works. Sammy, this has been excellent. Mr. Zielinski, Mr. Shriver, thank you so much, my man, for coming on the show. Where can people find you? I know you're not tweeting as much as usual, but like tell us about the podcast and everything.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, I ship post occasionally, but I offer through my Twitter account no value of any kind, and I'm probably going to keep it that way. The kind of the thing I do now outside of like normal family life, just for me, is I do a poker pod called Read 'em and Weep. I've done it for the last couple of years. It's a little inconsistent in terms of, how often I post. I go through stretches of, I do a lot of episodes, and then stretches where I don't, especially during like fantasy baseball and fantasy football draft seasons. But it's like my little pet project that I've kept going for a couple of years. Poker's like, my passion, my hobby, aside from fantasy baseball. So it's called Read 'em and Weep. If you like poker, check it out. Give it a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sammy Reid at Sammy Reid FI. I actually do find value in your shit posting. I do quite appreciate it, especially the Yordan Alvarez tracker. I learned from your thing, even though I'm supposed to be super in tune with everything, that like once he got that 10th game of outfield eligibility, all he's been doing ever since is just DHing. So he literally, the manager did that for you. So
yeah. I thank the gods, because it allowed me in the league that I have Yordan to get him in the outfield, so then I could then finally get Bryce Eldridge, who had been on my bench for a month, into the lineup. And now since then he's gone ice cold. Like, thank you very much.
That's the way it works. Let's see if they trade all of his teammates as well. We'll see. Yep. Luis Arias is going to be gone for sure. Maybe a couple other guys. Dude, Sammy, this has been a blast. So thank you so much for coming on. On behalf of Jason Anthony, FTN Fantasy, my man Sammy Reid, thank you so much for joining. This is the FTN Fantasy Baseball Podcast, and we'll talk to you next week.